Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you guys a very easy way to cut and sew this cowl neck top. This tutorial is going to be a freehand cutting tutorial. No pattern papers needed. Now, if this seems like something you're interested in, make sure to hit on the subscribe button and also turn on your post notifications for more tutorials like this. With that being said, let's dive right into this tutorial. This is the fabric I'll be using for this tutorial. This is a pattern crepe fabric for those of you that will be asking, and I used 1 yard to create my cowl neck top. I already gone ahead to place my fabric on fold, and this is because I will not be inserting any zipper to the back of this top. I didn't see any need for that. To know how many inches to put your fabric on fold, you have to get the quarter of your bust measurement, add 3 inches to that, and then multiply what you get by 2, cut your fabric and put it on fold. We are going to be cutting out the back part first. I'll be using the back part to cut out the front part of this top. As you can see up here, I've gone ahead to mark my starting line, and this starting line is also going to serve as my shoulder line. The first thing we'll be marking here is going to be the neckline, and to do that, coming in from the center back, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches as my neck width, and then I'm going to come down by 1.5 inch as the neck depth. I'll be connecting this with a curve just like this. On this shoulder line, also mark half of your shoulder measurement. For me, it's 8.5, and then come down from that point by 1 inch to serve as the shoulder slope. Now connect this point back into the neck width just like this. The next measurement we'll be taking is going to be the chest line, and to get that, divide your bust by 6 and add 1.5 to that. Make sure that you're taking your measurement from the shoulder slope there. For me, I have 8.25, so I'm going to mark that there, and then I'm going to connect this with a straight line across my fabric. I'm also going to mark half of my shoulder measurement on this chest line. This will enable me to get a straight line to the shoulder slope, so I'm just connecting that with a straight line to the shoulder slope. Now the next thing we'll be doing is to get our armhole curve, and to do that, on the chest line, mark quarter of your bust measurement. For me it's 10. I'll be adding ½ inch for each since I won't be inserting a zipper to this, and then I'll be adding 1 inch stitching allowance. Now divide what you have from the shoulder slope to the chest line by 2, and then coming from that point by ½ inch. Now what you'll be doing is to connect what you have here on the chest line back into this point here, and then back into the shoulder slope using a curve. Place your tape at the starting line and also mark your waistline. For me, it's 18 inches. I won't be marking any bust point because this is the back, and also we already have our bust measurement on the chest line, so there's no need for that. Also, you decide how long you want your top to be. For me, I wanted it to stop at the lower waist. I'll be adding 1 inch for stitching allowance, and I'll be marking this at 22 inches. I'll be connecting these lines with a straight line across my fabric. After doing that, the next thing we'll be marking is going to be the dart. I decided to use a dart for mine because I wanted to give it more fitting. So coming in on the chest, on this waistline here, I'm going to mark half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4. I'll also be marking the same thing on the chest line, and I'll also be marking the same thing on the length. I'll be connecting this with a straight line. Now coming to the waistline, I'm going to go out on both sides of this line by ½ inch, and to connect this back into the chest line, I'm going to come down from the chest line by 1 inch, and then to connect it down into the length of my top, I'm going to come up from there by 1.5 inch. I'm going to connect this together just like this. Mark quarter of your waist measurement on the waistline. For me is 8 inches. Take what you have in between your darts. As you can see, mine is 1 inch, and replace that. Add ½ inch for ease and 1 inch for stitching allowance. On the length, take the round measurement of where your top is stopping. For me is the lower waist, and marking the quarter of that measurement, I have 9 inches. I'll be adding ½ inch for ease and then 1 inch stitching allowance. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect this together. If you see, I try to use my rule, but because this fabric moves around a lot, I'll just continue using my free hand to do this. So I'm just going to connect this together like this. After doing that, you can now go ahead and cut this out. Now to cut out the facing for this back piece, I already have this piece of fabric here which I'll be using. It's on fold. So what I'm going to do is to place the back piece on it, making sure that the folded parts are together like this. I'm just going to arrange that properly and go ahead and cut it out just like you see me doing. And yeah, we are done with the back part of this top. Now let's proceed to cut out the front part of this top using the back piece. As you can see here, I've already gone ahead to put my fabric on fold. And for those of you that might be asking, oh, how do I know how many inches to put my fabric on fold? All you need to do is to get quarter of your bust measurement. For me, it's 10. Add 3 inches to that, which is going to give me 13, okay? Then you have to determine how deep you want your cowl neck to be. For me, I used 7 inches, which was quite deep. So if you're not so busty, you can use 5, you can use 6, okay? Now you're going to add that to what you get. So me, it's 13 plus 7, and I have 20 inches. As you can see here, what I have is about 22. So having extra 1 to 2 inches is not bad, so you don't run short on fabric. So what we'll be doing now is to fold in our facing. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to fold it in this way. Now to determine how deep or how long you want your facing to be, you can use your shoulder to bust point measurement or your shoulder to under bust measurement, okay? For me, I'll be using 13 inches. So what I'm just trying to do here is to arrange it in such a way that what I have there is going to be 13. Now after doing that and I'm satisfied with what I have, I'm going to bring in my back piece. Now you just have to pay close attention. This is super easy. So what I'm going to do now is at this side, I'm going to come down by about 4 inches. So I'm just going to mark that there and connect with a straight line across. After doing that, I'm going to take my back piece and make sure that this side of the shoulder is what is going to be exactly on this line. So I'm just going to place this side on the shoulder on this line here, okay? After doing that, I'm going to make sure that the down part of my blouse of the back piece is touching the center front. So make sure that the down part of your back piece is touching the center front just like this. Then you're going to go ahead and take the measurement of what you have here to be sure that it is the inch you want to use for your cowl neck. Like I said, I used 7 inches, but it was a little deep. So if you're not busty, using 5 inches is okay. Or let's just say 5 to 5.5 or 6 inches, okay? Don't forget to make sure that this part of the shoulder is on this line. So after doing that, I was satisfied. Outlining the armhole and the side on the front piece just like this. The next thing I'm going to do here is to connect from this point upward just like this. So as you can see here, I just connected from this point where the shoulder is touching this line upward. Then from here, I'm going to come in by half of an inch and connect that back into that point on the shoulder. Now that you're done doing that, you can now go ahead and cut this out just like you see me doing. After cutting this part, make sure that you notch this point here. This is going to help to differentiate the facing from the main top. And then also on the back piece, make sure to notch your that. Now I'm just going to go ahead and open up the front piece, and as you can see here, that point we notched is showing here. So this is the point that demarcates the facing from the main top, and I also have my notch at this side. Now what I'm going to do on my machine is I'm going to be finishing this upper part by just folding it into 2 and stitching it down. So we'll just be going to our machine to do this. Now what I have here is the front piece, and basically what I'm going to be doing is to finish up this upper part here. I'm just going to fold that into 2 this way, and I'm going to stitch that down all the way to the end. After stitching that down, I'm just going to trim off the excesses I have at the side just like this. For now, we are going to keep the front piece aside and I'll be finishing the neckline of the back piece. I have my facing here, so what I'm going to do first is to notch the midpoint of the facing and also notch the midpoint of the neckline. Now I'm going to make sure that these notches are being placed together like so. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch this down just like this. After stitching it down, just go ahead and stitch what you have there towards the lining. This is going to help your facing to stay in place so that when you put it on, it's not coming out at the back. Now after doing that, make sure that you notch around your stitch. Always remember to notch around curved stitches. It's going to help give you a clean finish. I'll just be trimming off any excess I have there. As you can see here, it's clean. I'm just going to go ahead and give this a good press. Then I'll be sewing in my darts just like this. Now I'm going to be joining the back piece and the front piece together at the shoulder. To join both the front and the back piece at the shoulder, what I'm going to do is to bring in my front piece first like this. You can see this notch we made here. So this side is going to serve as the shoulder for the main top. So now I'm going to bring in my back piece and I'm going to place it right sides to the front piece just like this. Now this point here is serving as the shoulder for the main top and the other side is the shoulder for the facing. What you'll be doing here now is to take the shoulder for the back together with the facing like this and place it on this part here, which is the shoulder for the front piece. Make sure that you arrange that properly and then you'll be covering everything up using the facing. So this is the shoulder for the facing. I'm just going to use it to cover everything up like this. Then I'm going to go ahead and pin this down. And I'll be stitching this down using 1/2 inch stitching allowance. Let's repeat the same thing on the other side. This is the notch point here, right? So I'm going to be placing the shoulder on this line here, which is serving as the shoulder for the main top. And then I'm going to use the shoulder for the facing to cover everything up. I'm going to go ahead and pin this down as we did the other. And then we'll be stitching this down using 1/2 inch stitching allowance. I hope you guys understand what I just said or what I just showed you. If you don't, you can play this back to get it clear. After stitching it down, you can see what I have here. You can see that the cowl neck effect is already out and you can see how beautiful this looks. Okay, this is very easy to make. All you need to do is just to follow the instructions and you are good to go. As you can see, the shoulder line there inside has a seamless finish. So if you go about it like this, you're going to have a seamless finish inside. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the measurements of what I have around my armhole curve to be able to cut out my sleeve. And as you can see here, what I have is about 22 inches, 25 inches. Now I'm going to just bring in my sleeve. I've already folded this into 4. So I'm just going to open that up. As you can see here, it's folded into 2 here. So folding it again like this is into 4 because I'm going to cut out the both sleeves together. I'll just be trimming off the upper part of the sleeve just like this. Now I have my pattern paper here already. I have a full tutorial on how to draft a basic sleeve. So this is what I usually use to cut out my sleeves because I already have the pattern paper with me. Okay, I'm going to leave a link in the description box for you guys to click and watch if you don't know how to do yours. I'm going to place my pattern paper on it. I'll make sure to pin this down. Remember that what I had on my armhole curve is 25 inches. So that divided by 2 is 12.5. I'm going to make sure that what I have on this curve here is 12.5. So after doing that, 12.5 is around that point there. So I'm going to cut my curve all the way to that point there. Sorry, I didn't know my camera wasn't recording, but what I simply just did was to cut this all the way to the 12.5 I had on my curve, and also I made this a short sleeve. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and notch the midpoint of my sleeves. I'll be bringing in my top just like this, and I'm going to place the sleeve right side to the top, making sure that this notch point is on where the shoulders meet. Then I'm going to go ahead and pin this down all the way around just like you see me doing. After doing this, I'm going to go to my machine and stitch this down using 1/2 inch stitching allowance, and I'll be doing the same thing to the other side of the sleeve. After inserting my sleeve, this is how beautiful my sleeves came out. I already went ahead to hem the sleeve. Now what we'll be doing next is to join the sides and then to finish the down part of this top. So I'm just going to turn this over to the wrong side like this, and I'm going to be pinning it down all the way from the sleeve into the length of the top. Remember, I used 1 inch for my stitching allowance. So what I'm just going to do now is to go to my machine and stitch this down from the sleeve all the way to the length of the top using 1 inch stitching allowance, and I'll be doing the same thing for the other side. Now after doing that, I'll just be finishing the end of the top by just hemming it. We have come to the end of this tutorial. I really do hope that this tutorial was helpful. Please do let me know in the comment section. Make sure to hit on that like button, subscribe, turn on your post notification for more sewing tutorials like this. I'll see you guys in my next one.